Jerzy Skolimowski is the director and co-writer of EO, Poland's official entry for the 95th Academy Awards this year. Also here is Ewa Piaskowska, the film's co-writer and co-producer. I'm Denton Davidson for Gold Derby, and I just want to start off by asking you, Jerzy, what does it mean for you to represent Poland with this film and be selected as, the film to represent Polish cinema this year?
Well, of course, it gives me a lot of satisfaction. It's a kind of honor, and also the proof that the film must be one of the better films made in Poland last year. So I'm very happy. I'm very glad that I can represent with my films, my film EO, that I can represent Poland.
And it's such a unique story. It's about this donkey that's born into the circus, and then he's released after some animal activist laws are passed. And we just follow him along his journey as life goes on, sort of being rehomed in various places. In his perspective, what made the two of you want to tell this story in this unique way? And how did you come upon it and decide to work on this together?
Well, it is a kind of a road movie, I never made one like that. It's a challenge, obviously. And we wanted to make a movie which would be an important subject.
So I would say that making a film nowadays, especially when you make it in Europe and when you are so sort of involved in it as we are, beginning with writing of the script and then Jerzy directing, us producing it, it takes really such a long time, and it's such an effort, that when you make it, when you give just a good few years of your life to a project, it's really important for it to mean something to you, So we wanted to make something meaningful and something that we really both deeply care about. That's why we focused on creating this unusual story. And we, both of us care about animals truthfully. We live in the middle of a forest. We live there with a dog. We observe nature and animals, wild animals every day. And we also observe, the mistreatment of animals on television and, press articles. And it's just prevalent all around, that there's something wrong going on. And we wanted to, try to, make a case for, more empathy towards animals.
So it's quite obvious that this film was made out of love for nature and for animals. And we did it really for the need of our hearts. We wanted to take voice in the situation when human beings mistreat the animals up to such a dramatic, I would say, barbarian forms, like industrial farming, which is a shame for human beings. By the way, we managed to reduce our meat consumption. We started before even writing the script, and during the process of making it, half of my crew stopped eating completely meat. We managed to reduce it by solid 2/3, hoping that one day, I hope soon, we will become a total vegetarians. And as a result of this film, we hope that maybe at least some part of the audience would be moved enough to reconsider their habits of meat consumption. It doesn't need to be bacon every day. Let's cut it down maybe every second day, every third day, maybe once a week, and maybe completely well, that would be really the biggest award this film could get, if there is such a result.
You do fall in love with the animals throughout the film. And I was curious, how many donkeys are you working with here? Because they always say don't work with animals or children on movie sets. Was it difficult because they're known as stubborn animals, or are actors more difficult?
Well, working with actors have certain advantages and disadvantages as well. First of all, you can communicate with them verbally, but that again bring the danger that the work could be over intellectualized, I would call it. Actors tend to have so many questions, which they already have all the answers in the script. I had moments when I was asked by the actor. I was making a big Napoleonic area film with a lot of armies on the horses, and suddenly one of the actors came to me and said, "Why am I jumping out of the horse right now at that very moment?" So I opened the script and I said, "Look here on this page, it says you are jumping out of the horse. You read the script, you didn't have any questions. Why are you asking me now in the middle of the shooting? Just jump off the fucking horse and that's it."
This is a video thing. You cannot curse.
Oh, we're fine on Gold Derby. You
We will put the beep on it, yes, on the beep horse and on the other hand, when you work with the animal actors, you don't have this ability of verbal communication, which actually I didn't need, because I found some special way of working with them. Basically, it was the amount of time I devoted for creating a bond with my main character. When the rest of the crew had some free moments, eating lunch or having a tea break or preparing some other work, I spent that so-called free time for the director, who usually goes into his trailer and rests or have a drink or something. I spent in the animals' horse wagon and talking to them. And of course, we are fully aware that when we talk to our home pets, we use a special tone of voice. It's not the normal voice of conversation, but we are making it much more gentle, much more like talking to little children. And the words don't mean, the tone is the essence, because animals would understand the tone. They would feel that you're talking to them as a friend, as somebody with whom you create a team, or a team for the mission. Like when I was face to mug, would rather sound better, with my donkey, and I was telling him, we'll have to do this and then, and using the tone, we somehow had the mutual feeling that we are on the mission, that we have to do something together, and that it's only two of us right now at that very instant. The rest of the world doesn't matter. It's us. And they understood this, and they treat me as a friend, really, not as somebody who
as a
is
dictator. Yes.
yes, somebody who's pushing them to work. I never push them, never physical action, never pulling, never pushing. It was always a gentle whisper, and of course some carrots, because carrots were the ultimate weapon in my hand.
But also, I think it's very important to add that that animals do not act. They do not know what acting is. That they do not understand what film is. So I think we always had this feeling that they just look at the film crew around them as those like crazy people running around them with those tools, machines, putting lights on top of them. I mean, it's quite hilarious. And then also working with them requires a certain amount of creativity and gives you freedom as well, because you basically compose the entire shooting plan around them, and it just, you need to use your brain, in order to make this work, because of course you cannot, communicate, as Jerzy said, verbally what exactly is going to happen in each scene.
You have to be ready for any possible surprise, any moment. Donkeys has got an opinion of being stubborn and stupid. And I agree, they are stubborn sometimes for a very good reason, and maybe there will be enough time to give you an example of it. But they are not stupid. They are not stupid at all. They are very intelligent and very sensitive animals,
yeah, altogether, I would say that the experience was extremely pleasurable and nice. And maybe it's the donkeys, but they certainly do not deserve the bad reputation,
I want to make sure we talk quickly about just some of the technical aspects of the film, because the cinematography and the score are both so integral to this, and the locations are so beautiful, and the sound really brings the story together for you. So can you talk about some of those locations that you shot at that might have been your favorite, and how the score helped bring the film together?
Let me start with the score. It's my already third film which I collaborate with the very famous Polish classical composer Paweł Mykietin, whose symphonies are really being played all around the world in the most famous philharmonics. And fortunately, Paweł doesn't treat the composing for the film as step down from his, heights of the classical music. He's equally ambitious to do this score for the film, and he agreed on my suggestion that what I expect from him would be extremely important element, which would be, because of the lack of the dialogue, then to express the certain moods, certain emotions of the donkey, I would need Paweł to hunt for the moments when he can really produce the sound of something like the inner monologue of the animal. And Paweł did it really very, very well. The music is composed in kind of two ways. First is the illustration of the whole general situation, but when it comes to the close shot of the donkey's mug, and especially his eyes, the huge melancholic eyes, which are looking at the scene around and thinking something and commenting it, that would be Paweł who would play the tune. Either it is, some agitation or some niepokój, anxiety or zdziwienie, tak?
Surprise or
yes,
fright,
he was really doing it extremely well, and it helped to connect the main character with the audience and to help the audience to identify with the main character.
But also locations, Jerzy?
Now about the locations, you know, since it is a road movie, after all, it takes, you know, altogether we cover at least couple of thousand kilometers or maybe even more than that. And it was a co-production and between Poland and Italy. And basically it was made with the public money. The Polish financing was generally covered by the Polish Film Institute, which gave us a huge grant for the film, but also by the two regional funds, because every region in Poland has its own, of course, much smaller, but still their own funds for helping filmmaking in the area. So we used two of them, one from the north, the Lake District, and one from the south, the kind of mountains and hills.
Where we knew exactly that, you know, beautiful locations are just, you know, there's a multitude of them. So.
Yes, we applied to those two funds because we knew that in those areas we can find the beautiful locations, because both funds granted us the financial help. Of course, we were obliged to shoot in that very area. So I sent dozens of researchers in the area. They were making pictures of every possible, you know, location there. And first by choosing the right photographs, then we went for the trip. We went to those best locations. We discovered some additional on the way. And therefore we had a really huge selection, huge possibility of using this and this and that. There were several beautiful little towns. If you remember the sequence of the football game, the soccer game, and then the walk through the little town, we had a really choice of, I don't know how many, 3 or 4 or 5 different little towns, and it was difficult to select the one who would really be the most beautiful. So we had a comfort on this way. And then the south region, where we were shooting, for example, that night scene, the night trip of the donkey at the forest. Again, the same thing happened. Several researchers were taking the pictures. And then of course we went there, and there was one very interesting place they found in the wild forest. They found a very old Jewish cemetery, which, you know, must have been over 100 years old. This region was actually going back and forth from the Polish hands to Ukrainian hands and Slovak hands. You know, it is this very corner of the southeast Poland. And historically speaking, it's very, very interesting, you know, that such a cemetery was there to discover. And because we didn't, of course, want to shoot on the real cemetery, although it was in ruins practically, we recreated this in the place, which looked very similar, but it was done very well by our art director. It looks real, but historically it's correct. And And also
But also, you know, the strip across the Alps, you know, there was lots of beautiful imagery, really. We were very, very lucky to, you know, that Poland has really an abundance of beautiful places to shoot.
And just to wrap things up, it's not a silent film. Like there are actors as well. And I was just curious about one in particular. How did you get Isabelle Huppert to sign up for such a small role? Of course, she lights up the screen like she always does when she's on there, but who's a friend of hers and what drew her to this project?
Well, first of all, we were looking for a person. Actually, that was one of the criteria which we use in selecting people to work with, the attitude towards animals. Basically, the actors, they have to really be...
But not just the actors, the entire crew as well.
Entire crew as well, you know, the attitude towards the animals, because we wanted to have the group of people who would really create a loving atmosphere for those animals to work with.
So
And then knowing that Isabelle is one of the people who are voicing her love for animals, it was a natural idea that if we have such a special part of the aristocrat, of a noble lady whose stepson is a kind of strange character, and they live in this beautiful castle. We thought about Isabelle. I must say, I hesitate for a moment. Should I dare to approach her with the proposition of a cameo part, because, you know, she's playing the leading parts in the huge films.
and she's an icon, of course.
She's an icon. She's you know,
the dame, she's the queen of European cinema. She's
yes,
one of a kind. Yeah.
one of the best in the world, you know, but I dare eventually to start the action. And
she agreed. That's one.
Eventually she agreed, not at once, but fortunately, I think I sent her some materials of the film which were already shot, and that, I think, persuade her that the film has enough class and enough of importance of the message, of the general message of the appeal to humanity, to change the attitude towards the nature and the animals, and that she agreed to help with her name, with her authority, with her class of you know, of acting. It definitely helped the film. It brings the much larger audience, and I'm extremely grateful to her. And hopefully the film will be seen by many more people, thanks to Isabelle's participation in it.
And thanks to just your work, it's a beautiful film. It's one of those, when it was over, I sat through the whole end credits sort of thinking. I mean, it has an impact that you don't forget when you walk away from that film. So I hope as many people as possible can go see it. And good luck with the Oscars and everything else that's coming up. And congratulations once again, and thanks to both of you for speaking with Gold Derby today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.